Hello, everybody, and welcome to GT Time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
Hello, hello.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello, Mr. Moderator.
Moderator.
Did I say moderator?
We don't.
In the super seat this week, Elise Willems.
Hi.
Whoa, and making this all happen, Ian Hink.
Hello, I am Elise Willems.
Classic switcheroo.
You won't like me when I'm moderator.
So, Elise, you are the new person in the rotation of the super seat. We have a new question, a fresh new question. And since it's summertime, I thought this would be appropriate. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Japan.
Why?
I love all things kawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I love J-pop. I like video games. I like manga. I like anime.
So what are you doing in Japan?
I'm in the Akihabara district.
Okay.
I'm at a tea house. I'm at a cherry blossom festival.
Nice.
I'm just beautiful and kawaii in Japan. It's wonderful.
Super Potato?
Everyone welcomes me with open arms and loves me.
In the real world, realistically, what's keeping you from actually doing this thing?
Money, financial burden, conflicting work schedules.
I'm sad I asked that follow-up. I wish I didn't ask that
My
follow-up.
dog, Benson.
We should get Square Enix to send you for something.
Yes. I'd also be at a robot cafe.
Are those real, or are those just
Yeah.
something that like appears
No,
on 60 Minutes?
They're totally real.
But there's like two,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's only like two?
Probably.
Yeah. I feel
There's a lot
like
of maid cafes, too.
those, I think, exist
Yeah.
prominently.
You can go to cafes like here in Los Angeles where you can get the hostesses to sit with you and talk with you.
Have you done that?
No, I've considered it.
What's the hold? What's the
appeal?
Where are these cafes?
I think they're in I think there's one in Little Tokyo.
Interesting. I'm at, Bossman was wondering, so I asked for my friend Bossman.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Let's move on to corrections. Begin corrections music, please. Coruscant has 5,127 levels at the time of the Clone
I
Wars.
knew it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
I know I'm a broken record with this, but corrections for episodes I'm not on are just the best.
Well, here's what's cool.
That's what Super C people get every time.
Yeah. Here's what's cool about Coruscant is it actually started off as a planet. It's not actually entirely city. It started off as a planet that they just started
Right, but then
building
they-
on and
they
building on
polluted
and
it,
building
yeah.
on.
Destroyed it.
It's like basically, and I don't know if any of this is canon anymore, but it's basically where the humans started, is on this planet Coruscant. It's like the center of the universe.
I never
It's
really
crazy.
thought about that. And
Really?
I've thought about
Yeah.
Star Wars a lot.
Yeah.
So wait, did they build
Moving from
up,
one correction right into another.
up and outward, or did they build downward?
Up and out,
into the
baby.
ground?
Up.
and out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I always thought they like dug down and turned
No.
the whole planet metal.
It's like Paris. Like there's a whole other Paris under Paris. You
Yeah.
know? So like it makes sense. We're getting there.
Paris.
Coruscant's freaky, man. It's really cool.
I
Star
thought
Wars
that's where
lore.
All like the seat of evil was Coruscant.
What?
Isn't that where the
So
Empire?
did
like,
Yeah,
1313 come up in the conversation for
But
some
it's
reason?
not
It
just
did.
necessarily,
Yeah,
I guess
here.
it wouldn't necessarily be the seat of evil, it's just the seat of power.
Right. It's just like it's the most ideal location for like travel. It's just like in the center
So
of
did
all
someone
this
say
stuff.
that 1313 was like the basement? And they were like, oh, it's the bottom level.
Yeah, Ian said that
Like-
1313 was deep. That
I never
no,
said
that's
that.
not even deep.
I said it was floor 1313. I just thought it went down instead of up. But
Okay.
we didn't know how many floors there were.
There are many floors.
Yeah.
Ian also mixed up some Twitter names last week, and a lot of people called that out. Just some copy and paste job, really.
What are you talking about?
At the
with
very
the lower
end,
things?
when we're doing those at the very end, our Twitter handles. People get upset about that for
Did
some
I
reason.
not switch somebody's?
You didn't switch two people's. We still had Brandon's up. We're looking at
Oh, thanks for
GameTrailers
that.
VO.
Thank
Eh,
you.
whatever.
One commenter likes Dead Island Epidemic, and so I felt really bad for making fun of that game.
Who?
You found
Let's
him.
single him out.
You
No,
found
no.
the one person.
I don't like, because none of us have played that, right? So
Yeah.
it's mean to like
Is that
make
the
fun
MOBA?
of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Nova.
And like the prison, there's like a small team working on that game, and so I feel like maybe that game is good. It doesn't feel. I mean,
Hey, being good and being enjoyable, I think, are
Yeah,
two separate
like what
things.
you're
you
right.
like.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we're that game is not good, but if you enjoy it, that's great.
I stand by Dead Island being overextended, though.
Sure.
Absolutely. Don't do all that.
From day one.
Also, CJ, the elephant in CJ's Elephant Antics, is a badass elephant. So it's not exclusive to Tembo.
What is that?
Oh,
What?
dude, it's a end corrections music. Commodore 64 music is so good. In fact, the rollout music for this week's episode will be the music from CJ. Well, I'll find it.
Wait, so
Ian.
it's a Commodore
Oh,
64
man.
game? I've never heard of this.
Oh, dude, CJ's Elephant Antics, and the music is so good. It's crazy, and the elephant is badass. He shoots stuff out of his trunk. He's all right.
He's like, it's like Bill and Ted's Adventure, except you're the phone booth. Where he's like, what we're going to do is we're going to put the keys over here, and then we'll remember to do that later. And Kyle's just like, we'll just use that music. It'll just happen. Ian's like,
Set up the music.
I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
That'll be our outro tonight. But anyway, let's move on to our news. First news, good news. Women are appearing on the cover of a FIFA game.
on the cover of a sports game.
Hey.
Way to throw him a bone.
FIFA 16 will feature Alex Morgan from the U.S. women's national team and Christine Sinclair from the Canadian national team on their respective covers.
Maybe there was just a mix-up because they both have names that can also be boy names. Alex and Chris.
Christine.
Yeah.
I'm not happy that we're starting off with a joke this fast before I've even fully explained the news story. They're right aside Lionel Messi, just like the best player in the world.
Who's Messi?
Messi's the best.
No, we're
He's
not
the number
gonna
one
do
guy.
this.
Person?
He has the golden ball from
Is that a person?
the World Cup. Yeah, that's a person.
I saw a kid wearing a Messi jersey the other day.
And then you said, I actually know who that is now.
And I was like, damn you, Kyle. Why do I have this information?
Why couldn't they have just put the women on? Why did they have to put him?
They probably already had a contract with him.
Progress, at least. Let's just take one step
Do
at
you
a time.
think next year it will be a male and female player again?
That's a great question.
Ooh,
Elise.
that is a
that's
very
a good.
good
That's a good question to open with.
I think that
honestly.
they are capitalizing on what just
of
happened.
course.
Yeah.
The Women's
right?
World Cup, sure.
Uh,
It's because it is worth mentioning in the U.S. The women's national team is more popular than the men's national team. That doesn't happen in a lot of countries in this world.
I mean, you could dissect this for so many stupid reasons. Like,
Okay, what's going on?
Like
What?
he's going for it right
He's
now,
in
right?
front.
He sees it. The ball's coming right at him. You know what I mean? Like if he's just about to support somebody, or he's going to make the major power play, and she's like, "What's it? What's going on over there?" You know, she's kind of like,
No way she's like that, no.
She's kind of like she's more upright, you know, and she's just kind of just strolling a little bit. She's
No.
not really in the hunched over sprint, you know,
Yeah.
prep.
Brandon, no, these aren't.
He also looks like slightly too big compared to them.
Yeah,
like
he looks like
Photoshop
he's,
wise.
yeah.
Like her, well, just with his hair alone, like
Well-
he's matched the same height.
Okay,
He's definitely
so-
closer than
Yeah.
she is.
He's in the foreground. Why
Right.
isn't she in the
I
foreground?
guess.
Right.
Right.
It is worth mentioning to people who are simply listening to this podcast that Lionel Messi is in the foreground still. He's still number one.
They should be like a '90s like young kid teenager hip hop group where they're kind of like next to each other
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Equals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's very interesting, to be honest, that FIFA changes who's on the cover depending on which country you're buying the game, and it makes total sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And yeah, at least I do wonder if next year there will be women on the cover, the year after that, and maybe it'll take another Women's World Cup.
I'm going to say no. They're not going to put. I think they are capitalizing on the World Cup.
Is there not a women's World Cup every year?
No.
It's like every 4 years, I
Yeah.
believe.
But I mean, if you're
What?
EA, like, do you just walk right into that? I mean, do you just literally just be like, well, this is a dumb decision. We'll just do that one, you know, to not do it next year and be like, no one's going to notice, right, Bill?
Do you think that's a dumb-
No one will notice.
But
if
I
we do
also
that.
think there's-
because who can like how
Yeah.
much work is that extra to do this?
Well, it's a
And to
whole
make
other
it a standard-
contract and payout.
It's a huge deal, Brandon. This is
Oh
like
goodness!
this is how your game is presented.
Nobody researched that
Yeah,
one. Find
and-
out how much each one got paid.
I guess
Right.
if there's no recognition next year, like if
Less than
next
Messi.
year people are like, who are these women? You know, why are they on the cover? I don't. Right now they're in the public consciousness, but maybe next year they won't be.
So, at least I have a question. Do you think this will boost sales? Do you think this will sell better than last year's game? Having a woman on the cover?
I think it'll still sell well. FIFA always sells well, right? Especially in the UK. Mm-hmm. I think that it might get more people in North America interested.
I think it will. Honestly, I think
to buy it
yes.
and not just be happy about it and share it on Facebook and be like, look, you know, Aunt Gladys, like the business
yeah,
school, you know, and
you're
like,
right, Brandon,
but
that
is
is-
Aunt Gladys like really gonna go out and okay, I don't even own a PS4, but I'm in. Like,
Also, you got to take into consideration all the men's rights activists who won't buy it now because there's a woman on it.
I don't think that's real. I don't think those
That
people
happened to Mad Max Fury Road. Those idiots were like,
Yeah.
"No, it's about women. They're trying to trick us."
that was 11 people. And
Maybe.
that movie did great. You know what I mean? I think this game will do great.
Yeah,
movie was great too.
Yeah.
yeah.
But, like,
I think that there's a good chance that it will actually get more women to pick it up. For sure.
And honestly, I think men. Honestly, like the ratings for the Women's World Cup in the U.S. were insane. They were crazy. And I think that has to at least register to some sales of this game. People who are interested in that. I am scared though that it is like what Brandon just said. Is just like it's just people on Twitter who are happy about it, but won't necessarily buy it.
It'll make a great headline, you know. But like the actual people that are reading that article that normally never would, I don't think will then immediately go into getting a video game. But if I'm someone who likes soccer a lot and like plays or football, or plays like games every now and then, and maybe picks up FIFA like once every 2-3 years, I might make a point this year to be like, oh, that'll be fun. Like I can play it with my wife or my girlfriend, and like she can play. We can swap back and forth and play that. Like again, like not my wife, but like she'd be stoked on this. Like I could probably get 1 or 2 FIFA games out of her just for that reason.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's a weird thing because it really is. It's piggybacking on whatever's happening in the sport. I mean, every year that's the case. No matter what the issues, what the features are, like you're piggybacking on what's relevant to the sport. And right now, this is super relevant in the sport. It's like you're not going to have female players in an NHL game because that's not anything anyone's talking about right now. So it is really kind of a weird, different kind of situation.
Is this the first FIFA that's had women teams,
Yes.
or do they all have women teams?
First time.
First time they've had playable women.
These women deserve to be on the cover. They play harder than the men play.
Right.
Like
Here
they're
we go.
badasses.
Because they don't fall as much?
They don't fall. They don't take those hits. They're not
Men
looking.
do seem to play up the injuries a lot.
They do.
To get it's like a tactic, right?
Yeah, it's part of the sport is what
it's
sucks.
It's
Yeah.
acting, for sure.
fell my knee. I'm in such pain.
And what
Right.
I hate about that is that if you don't do that, you're going to lose more games. Do you know what I mean? Like that is part of the men's
the
version of it.
strategy.
Yeah.
Sports are BS, man.
They're not. There's still lots of good stuff about sports.
I mean, it should just be about running around and kicking a ball.
But yeah, you're right. Every sport, there's a lot of strategy that goes into playing with the regulations and the rules, and it's a huge part of F1 is the regulations are always shifting, and people are engineering their way around the regulations, and then, we don't like that, so we'll put a new rule on there.
How long till there's a woman on the F1 cover, Blood?
It depends on when we get a major F1 driver.
What if there already was and she's just hiding behind a helmet?
Is it Danica Patrick? Is that her name?
She's in NASCAR.
She's NASCAR, yeah.
NASCAR. Has she ever been out on a cover of anything?
Maybe.
There was a...
She was in Sonic All-Stars
Go
Racing
Dad.
Transformed.
Like Wheaties.
Yeah.
I think she was on the cover of that.
She used to be on Wii.
So actually, I want to talk about the cover, significance of a video game cover, because I remember it was just 2 years ago. Ken Levine was saying he took Elizabeth off the cover of BioShock Infinite to appeal more to frat boys. Here we have FIFA, a sports game for frat boys, with a woman on the cover. Do you think?
There's that promotional image for MGS5 that just came out with Snake and Silence.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Sorry.
Quiet.
Close.
No, yeah, like
No,
why?
we're just telling you to be
I
quiet.
said, no, literally, there was a dartboard and Silence was like, nope, didn't get it.
Brandon, they're equally good names. It's not like Quiet is a better name than
Yeah.
Silence. Yeah, they're equal.
I mean, the whole thing is silly, but never mind.
Yeah, do you think Ken Levine was right back then? Like, do you think his game would have sold worse if he put Elizabeth on the cover?
Didn't it not sell that well?
It sold okay.
Yeah.
I think it sold fairly well, but I mean,
did.
it's the development. It's the balance of that's why it's perceived as okay because of how long it took to make that game.
Right. It didn't destroy, and then that's the reason why 2K is just like, well, we could have done better.
I'm always, I'm just huge on trying to understand marketing, and like print has always been a weird thing for me. That's like tough for me to assign value. Like, but you made some good points, Ian, like a week or two ago about.
First time for everything.
Like subtitles. Like I don't get that. Halo 5 Guardians. Like why Guardian? What? It's like to me Guardians means fear. To me it's like we can't call it Halo 5. If we call it Halo 5, it won't sell as much. Got to attach Guardians. Not because like this means something.
Oh yeah, don't Brandon. We're gonna have 3 more corrections next week just because you brought up Halo.
What about Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth Rising Tide?
Right. So
Nice.
so yeah, like adding like should we put this character? There goes sales. It's like
many
really
colons are
I
in
can't.
that?
There's no there cannot be a way to do math on that. There cannot
yeah.
be a way to ever figure out whether that's relevant. So the fact that people put so much value on something that you can't rate is weird.
The thing that's funny to me, vis-a-vis the BioShock Infinite cover, they did all that thinking about it, like, we have to take Elizabeth off, and we're gonna appeal to the frat boys. But then it's literally just dude with his back, whatever, the chin down, eyes up. Like dude with his back facing the camera,
Holding
like,
a gun, yeah.
Like, every Battlefield thing, every Call of Duty thing, every other thing, every prototype, like every game. And I'm like, okay, so you wanted to differentiate your game by making it look like every other crap.
Maybe to
game
confuse people, so like
Yeah.
they get that.
Yeah,
you
it's
send
like,
them
oh, I
a
thought I
blurry
was buying
picture of the cover, and then they
Call
get
of
another one.
Duty. Oh, whoops! Why is this the?
Well, I mean, no,
1900s?
there was still plenty different because it did look like 1930s on the cover, and so like a guy sees like, oh, gun in this, good, but I don't think gun in this good like exists. Last of Us had Ellie prominently on the cover, and it sold crazy.
So let me tell you.
But they had to fight for that.
Yeah.
Like marketing departments didn't want to do that. They had to push back and say, no, we're doing this.
And here we go. 2 years later, we got women on the cover of FIFA.
It annoys me.
Okay.
That they think they can't put a woman on a cover of a game, but Ken Levine did say he went and he did some market research, and he went and he asked people if they knew what BioShock Infinite was. They didn't know what BioShock Infinite was. Like the hardcore fan base knew what BioShock Infinite was, but like random Joe gamer didn't, right? And people were really, really upset about this. And then, what's the studio? Not 2K, but
Irrational?
Irrational Games said, I want to say Insomnia. Irrational Games was like, okay, we're going to do a poll for our big hardcore fan base to see what you guys want on the reverse side of the cover.
Yeah. You
And
think that's a good
there were
compromise?
a bunch of options that had Elizabeth on them.
Yeah.
They didn't win.
Most of those covers weren't very good, in my
You have
opinion.
but again, it's all that we get people in a lab beforehand. We're asking them all these questions. Like the only two scenarios I can possibly think of where a box art would mean anything at all would be if I'm going to Best Buy and I just want to buy a game, right? I'm like, I don't care what game it is. I just strangely have $60 that I'm willing to blow on whatever, and I'm just shopping by box art. Or I am curious about BioShock Infinite, and I think I'm gonna go buy. Oh wait, I don't like that box art. Now I won't.
But what
it's
I'm
like, what other situation would
saying
you
is-
ever make a purchasing decision based on box art? Like,
What I'm saying is people like made a big deal about it, and then he
Right.
gave them the option and was like, "You want Elizabeth on your cover? Here's an alternate cover that you can have." And people didn't vote for that to be their choice.
Isn't she on the alternate?
No, it's like the artsy, like,
It's like a
red
pattern.
Yeah, it's
print
just like
thing.
the city.
I thought the silhouette of both of them was on
Isn't
it.
she like pointing at the bird?
I thought she was on
She's
it.
on the back of the original cover.
Ian, we're gonna need you to look that
I'll
up
look
for
it
us.
up.
We're gonna have to look
The
that
weird
up.
thing too about this is like she was featured prominently in all of the commercials.
Well, that's what Ken said. He's like, we didn't put her on the cover, but in all the marketing that like the fans would know what it was, all the like side promotional stuff, we featured her prominently, which it's like, okay, you're making a compromise for that. I think she was worthy of being on the cover.
She absolutely
personally.
was. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
To me, like
I-
his entire excuse is so
And
nonsense.
I agree with you. I don't know why somebody would look at that and go, I don't want to play this.
this would be the rare case because this is like she, she's a woman on the cover, but she's also a mode. Like that's what
Yeah.
that's selling directly is that like we have made this change to the game, and so maybe that's opening up that conversation when you see it. But again, like
yeah, it's just the
I
bird.
just like
okay.
And maybe this is just me, but like as much as I love advertising, every time I've ever made a purchasing decision for a game, it's been just a laser focus. That it's just like, oh yeah, that game got it, good. It's never like I never just like stroll through life just being like,
So-
what game is life gonna throw at me? It's just like, nope. And at the end of this month, it's going to be Mad Max and Disney Infinity 3.0. That's it.
I
Those
think
are my-
some people just
those are
like
my
wander
games.
into
Whoa, is Mad
GameStop
Max
and
this
they're like,
month?
what am I into?
Or, at the end of August.
So okay, here's my
Witcher
opinion
3
on
when I
this.
have time and something else.
Here's
like
where I feel on this,
little
Brandon.
Hearthstone.
A lot more of advertising and imagery comes down to buy or don't buy. Do you know what I mean? Like Coke doesn't do ads just so you think, oh, I want to buy Coke. You know what I mean? It does it to build brands. And I think your box art is a huge part of your brand and how people perceive your game. And so I think it's very, very important. I think it's more than just a hard sell of please buy me. I think it's a lot
Yeah.
of this is how we're presenting ourselves.
I don't want to make the statement that it's not important. I don't understand it. I could read a book on it and still be like, I don't, because
Right.
it would just never even come close to remotely affecting me at all. Like to actually, I could never imagine not buying a game that I even had a thought that I would want to, because of the box
But
art, to make that stop. It's just like, oh wait, there's clearly something happening here that actually affects the quality of the product. It's like,
It's good. It's
how
in there.
old are you?
No, it's Brandon.
Like,
I'm telling you, that's all inside of you. That's how you
Eh.
feel about the game. That's like even if you buy it, it's like how you like perceive that game. And,
Right,
like, think about it.
it's in there, but it's like a 0.01%. It's one of the just like miasmas floating
I mean-
by. It's like
Yeah.
it's,
I have an anecdotal
so many more important elements to follow, and that I think gamers now are educated about to understand. It's like information about these games is not hard to find. You know, it's like in the age of YouTube, like one still image still rules over like
I think some people
a 3-minute gameplay walkthrough. Like, I'm not gonna watch that walkthrough and really understand the game. My whole decision.
I think some people just walk into GameStop and go, "What looks good?"
Yeah.
Like, I think some
That's the
people
case,
still
yeah.
do that.
You think so?
Well,
Oh,
also
yeah.
like an example from my own life. This has happened to me several times, but like I was looking for a copy of The Road to read by Cormac McCarthy.
Black and yellow text. That's the
And-
one you gotta get.
Well, and on the inside, it says the title on the top of every page, The Road, and in a font that is so dumb, it made me not want. I like spent a while looking for a different version of that
Yeah.
book because I didn't want to look at that stupid font.
I will not buy a book that has a movie tie-in cover.
Oh God, no.
Oh yeah.
I used to do that where I'd go like Chapters, which is a Canadian bookstore, and I'd just like pick out books that I liked by the cover and then go and dissect which that I actually was
Yeah,
interested
I
in.
think it's all impactful. I think it's a huge deal. I think this is
design influences things like probably in ways that you're not even like cognizant of.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Which I will not claim to be, and clearly am not.
let's move on. Let's talk about
Ignorance is bliss.
I can't tell if this is good news or bad news. Nintendo is publishing Devil's Third. Devil's Third, of course, is a game that was announced so long ago, maybe 4 years ago. This is there was lots of drama. There was lots of like rumors that Nintendo was not going to publish this game in the U.S. despite publishing it in Europe and Japan because it is apparently quite stinky. And again, here we are with like the Dead Island MOBA again. I don't want to prejudge this game, but it is not looking hot. Anyway, Nintendo is in fact publishing this game, and they announced that this week. And basically, I want to talk to the panel today about whether you think it's good for Nintendo to publish a game. Sorry, because I forgot the second half of this news. Valhalla, the developers of this game, also announced, along with Nintendo saying, hey, we're going to publish in the US this year, they said, okay, also, we're doing a free-to-play version of this game on PC. So Nintendo's version will not be free-to-play. You will have to pay for that. The free-to-play version has multiplayer only. Elise, what's up?
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't
Okay.
have the campaign story.
Right.
Clarification request.
Sure.
So this game has been out for a long time in Europe.
No.
no.
Oh,
It's
so
not out yet.
out at all.
I think it's coming out in August in Europe.
Okay, so no one knows if the game is actually bad or not.
Well, there have been
They were-
preview builds that have gone around.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so that's where the stinkiness is coming from.
Okay, because I thought people were just mad that it didn't come out here.
Right. Well,
Even
that was
though the
part of
game is
it. That's
bad.
like, why would you publish this in Europe and not in the US? It is
Okay.
it is a weird thing.
Yeah, because they had announced the release dates for every territory, and then they just said nothing in America, and they didn't have it at E3, and so that was the reaction. So I almost feel like Nintendo's reaction is kind of lagging behind because everyone was like, wait, where is this game? And then now Europe is getting it. It was like, oh, this game's no good, and everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, you can. Don't worry about it.
Take
And
our
it's too
trash,
late.
Europe.
It's too late now.
Well, okay, so like basically, and Brandon, this is what comes down to it. Do you ever think it would have been worth it for Nintendo to say, "Oh, this is a bad game, we should not publish it"?
No, I mean, you look at all the stuff that Nintendo's offering, and I think this is like maybe a weird, like something like a quarter of the Bayonetta play, where it's like we need to have something edgy on our platform. You know, we need to be known for catering to that audience and having something that's. That's stinky's an interesting word because I thought I didn't think you were going to say bad. I thought you were going to say kind of risque and violent and just abrasive in like a Saints Row kind of way, which seems it's like Saints Row and Ninja Gaiden thrown together. You know, it's just this very like boisterous. I'm trying to think, was it Matt Hazard? Was that?
Oh, right, yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of that. Little Duke Nukem in there.
Matt Hazard was a whole other deal.
But it's just that kind of, this, don't take this game seriously.
Sure.
But it's also, we were talking about Onichambra the other night, just this kind of, really edgy. I think they just really want that in their catalog. And maybe, I don't know if they did this because they know they'd get a headline, but just kind of knowing that like we offer all the experiences in the Wii U.
Yeah, I just don't know that it has enough of an identity for anyone to really like be getting, I don't see this becoming like a Nier, where people are going to forgive its flaws because it's got some other really cool part to it.
Well, it looks like a 360 game. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
You look, you can look at a screenshot or just you have 10 seconds of gameplay and you're like, oh, it's on that level. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes sense as a free-to-play game on PC. It's so hard to sell a game and it's like, oh, here's a free version. It doesn't have that campaign, but you can play this right now on your PC for absolutely nothing. And then also, we're putting this out on Wii U for probably $50. Is this doomed?
I mean,
Yes.
they need some
Yeah.
third-party games for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Do they?
dropping out.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing though. This is
Because that's
the
fair.
really good games are not doing well, and then you're gonna invest the money into a game that
The
is-
Wii is just an abortion of a system, and they need to
Okay.
deal with it.
No. It's not that.
It's true though. It failed. It's over.
No, it's not true because there's still a lot of people who own a Wii U right now who are buying games. I mean,
Yeah, it's not over until you release another console.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not over for Nintendo.
But like at this point, you're getting the like regret purchases where you're like, oh, I bought this stupid Wii U.
Nah,
I
man.
gotta get something
Captain
for it.
Toad Treasure Tracker. I am locked in. If Nintendo just kept making games like that,
Okay, so the
the
system
Wii
has
U?
one good game.
No, come on.
So
They're
it's
not
got-
gonna go through all that again.
There are a lot of games coming out for Wii U this fall from Nintendo, but not a lot from anywhere else, as Elise said. They need third parties. And basically, my other feeling on this is like, even if this game blows, it's hard to tell someone that they don't deserve it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do come from a place where I think that any game can be enjoyed, and so it's hard to say like, no, you can't have it. This game is too bad for you to even try. And so I'm happy they're publishing it. Is that okay?
Sincere question. I
Yeah.
mean, like, why would anyone ever not put today's day and age, you know, like when you could do like a digital release.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
like, because I mean, like, I could see like costs if you don't think something would fly in a certain culture, like then maybe don't sell it in that country. But like,
Just do
why
digital
would you
only.
not? Yeah, why would you not just throw it on the market?
Even publishing a game digitally isn't free. You know what I
Right,
mean? There's
but
still
it's
costs
not-
involved
It's
with
not
that.
as much.
It's not
Yeah.
super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's partly, because they did make a lot of those kinds of decisions last generation that got people riled up. Is like, why are you not localizing these games?
True. Yeah.
And stuff like Xenoblade, where everyone had to beg for it to come over, and and so like I feel like they're reacting to that mentality and that passion and that fan base, but at the same time, it's like maybe once in a while some of these, like, they were because in the midst of that, all those games that they weren't localizing, then there were a couple of that they did. It was just like, why did you not bring out these great games? You brought out this like really forgettable turn-based RPG.
Which one?
Heracles.
Whoa. Okay, you got me. You stumped me, Blood. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it was on DS or 3DS. I can't remember which.
Cool.
But yeah, they brought that out.
Yeah.
But then they didn't back the last story or Xenoblade until people screamed about it.
Or Pandora's Tower? Was that the third
Pandora's
one?
Tower was weird because that was probably more like the Devil's Third. It was like it
Okay.
probably didn't need to go over.
That's so funny, man.
Heracles?
Yeah.
Like hair?
Like Heracles.
But with hair?
No,
No.
not with hair.
Like
Oh.
H-E-R.
H-E-R.
So Hercules.
Heracles.
Heracles.
Heracles. I don't know what the difference is, but it's different somehow.
But it's spelled the same.
No,
No.
Hercules would be, you get that C right away. H-E-R-C. Herc.
Oh.
This is Heracles, so H-E-R-A.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's the difference.
There's going to be some common
Sorry.
themes for sure, but it's
There's
this
gonna
whole
be a lot
other
of
thing.
corrections
Hey,
in
let's
this
talk
thing.
about Evo. Evo is the world's largest video game fighting game tournament. He's got marbles in his mouth. This what happened last weekend. This was the largest fighting games
So
tournament in the world.
Evo is still exclusively fighting games.
Yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not even just like the biggest collective. It is the biggest Street Fighter tournament of the year.
Yeah.
It is the biggest Killer Instinct tournament. It is the biggest Smash Brothers tournament of the year. It's the biggest tournament of all those things, all put into one, all in one weekend, all live on Twitch. It's so fun to watch. I love Evo, and so I want to talk about some things that happened this weekend.
I need to make time to watch Evo.
You couldn't have this weekend.
I was out. I was on vacation, but like it always just happens. I always blink and I miss it. I come back on a Monday and like everyone's talking about it, and I'm just like,
What does Evo stand for? Like evolution?
It does stand for evolution, yeah.
Oh, cool. Is Smash Brothers technically considered a fighting game? I feel like that,
absolutely.
I feel
Yeah.
like that kind of like ring out thing should have like a subgenre title.
What?
It's just a rule set.
I mean, like, it's a fighting game, but then like it's a certain subset of fighting. I don't know.
sure.
I feel
It's a
like there
category.
should be a word that
There's a lot of-
explains that kind of game.
There are definitely a lot of people within the fighting game community who do not respect Smash Brothers, but it is still a fighting game, and it's still at EVO, and it's still one of the best viewed things. So actually, yeah, the press release that came out of EVO this year is that they had record ratings. It was at like 250 for Ultra Street Fighter 4, which is the thing they saved for last, which was big. But also, like 250,000 is nothing when you look at other esports. Well, no, not really other esports, but when you particularly look at League of Legends or Dota 2, it's not as good as like those games stream in the millions.
Which is actually kind of weird to me because I feel like, as a viewer, a fighting game is way more accessible.
Yes.
Like, no matter who you are, no matter what you know about a fighting game, like, you can get behind that. You can get into what those guys are doing. Whereas, if I don't know what's going on in a MOBA, I'm just like, there's a bunch of guys running around on the map. I don't, what's happening right now?
It's life bars. It's like there's 2 versus 40, and so like 2 life bars. Yeah, I can follow that.
It's way different. It's way more than that. It's perspective.
Yeah.
The characters are huge on the screen. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, Street Fighter is so fun to watch. What's up?
I was talking about this too the other day because I was like, why isn't Evo on ESPN and the international is? A friend of mine, he had a decent point that fighting rounds are like 2 minutes long, whereas a MOBA is a more schedulable like time block.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a half hour. That's a half hour of TV.
Yeah,
but
that
to
might
me, I'm
be
like,
it,
what
man.
about
I
like
don't know.
boxing? Like that can be 2 minutes. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
Fighting game you understand immediately.
And I think that's actually one of the biggest. This is the only time I'm going to claim to know anything about Evo.
Here we go.
But one of the things that I've noticed, and I think because the broadcasting talent is so amazing, like I literally, I am not joking. It has crossed my mind to just totally leave GameTrailers and become like an esports broadcaster. Because
I would support that. That'd be
Are you-
awesome.
Yeah, I would
You'd be
be
so
in
good at that.
Are you kidding me? What a job!
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
fly somewhere. You don't even have to play anything anymore. It's
You
like
do.
it's like like you have to know. I mean, you have to, of course.
Their
but, like,
knowledge is
And
insane.
they get so
Right,
passionate.
but think of how much knowledge they get just around being around these players, just watching it the whole time, just talking to each other, just like watching it when you're not commentating, hearing what they're saying and just picking up, like the skills that to be like the Bob Costas of games, like that's awesome. But I just kind of had a little fantasy about that, and I completely specifically forgot the point that I was going to make. Oh, procedurally, I hear it's actually kind of a pain in the neck. I hear that's something that they haven't. When you're watching it online, you don't really see like how long it takes to set this stuff up. So if you had because that's the thing, like you set these guys up and you get that half an hour experience, and you could do that with fights because you could just have one. That's how they do golf. They're just like, well, let's jump way over there to the 16th hole because we have 8 billion cameras everywhere and we can just jump between the action. Otherwise, there's no way you would ever watch actually one person play golf. And you kind of have to do that with Evo, where it's like, okay, now there's only one spot where everybody congregated, so we got to move these things out. We got to bring in the sticks because they each have their own specific controllers that they want, or like whatever rules, and we got to make sure everything's cool. So if while one match was happening, literally like right next to that, or in like a similar space, if you had them setting up the next thing, so you could just move right.
Yeah, what they do now is
logistically, I would have no idea what that would take. But I think that might be the last hurdle that they need to jump to actually be, to actually sell it.
Yeah, what they do now is they have 5 different streams. It's very hard. Like, you have like 2 at most to keep track of and go back and forth, but like having 5 open is insane. And yeah, I think it's still a small team. I would love to just give Evo millions and millions of dollars so they could like do those other things. But what's crazy about Evo is like when you think of the international or the League of Legends world tournaments and everything they do, those are completely funded by their publishers. Mm-hmm. Like Riot pays for the League of Legends tournaments, and Evo is not like, it definitely has sponsorships, but Evo is self-funded. They're doing this on their own and organizing this and everything. And yeah, Capcom will give them money, or Sony will give them money, or Microsoft and everybody. But yeah, like that I think is a huge difference, is they don't have this sweet limitless Riot budget.
Does that happen anywhere else in sports where like a person puts on a tournament just for the love of the game? And it's not sanctioned by the NFL or the NHL or the whatever?
I mean, that's how the Olympics started, was for the love of the game.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the base of any of those organizations,
to
you
see
could
the Harlem
say that they started that way. I mean, people just
No one
wanting
would let me
to
know.
have an official place for that. But
Yeah.
But now they like own it.
yeah, I mean, now they're an actual, a huge multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
I just think, we're waiting for. You never want to hear that ever. You always want to have something to watch.
Yeah.
You
I
always
hear
want
you.
to you always want to package it. It's just like this. This was supposed to happen. Everything.
Oh, and what I would
It's
love
not
more
like,
than anything is a sports center at the end of the day for Evo, where they would go through the highlights.
They don't do that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't
Oh, they
have that.
have to
Did
do
that.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, on YouTube, I've found like highlight reels from different like MLG events and things like that.
Right. I want that at the end of the day at EVO. I want that so bad.
I want to see Shaq talking about Street Fighter.
He would be so good at it.
It'd be so great.
It was a clutch combo. One thing, a little drama I want to talk about that happened at EVO. It's the grand finals.
And you have to explain this specifically. I watched the video, but I want to.
Oh, so help me explain this then. All right, so it's the grand finals
Right.
of Ultra Street Fighter 4. It's the
Right.
end of the night. This is the biggest game. The most people are watching right now. We got Momochi versus Gamer B. Gamer B came out of the loser's bracket. So he had to win, 2 sets against Momochi. He won 1 set. Okay, we're on the second set. Here we go. Momochi wins the first round. Okay, second round starts. We're getting into it. And then there's a...
All of a sudden, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 at the Xbox press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Please reconnect
the
controller.
game pauses. Please reconnect controller. The little
It's,
Xbox 360.
It was the
on
Rock
bottom.
Band. Who's the guy playing Rock Band? Who's the head of EA Sports? The head of EA.
Peter Moore.
Peter Moore. Yeah,
Peter Moore had a
played
little
Rock Band.
a little issue a long time ago. Yeah. So that happened. Game pauses right at match point. Okra's right. They had each won two sets to each. So this was match point. Momochi was at match point. Could have won. Game pauses because he has a Razer arcade stick. The Razer is not a well-regarded arcade stick manufacturer. I think they just started doing it recently. But when you're sponsored, you have to use that stick.
Yeah.
So Momochi had a Razer stick, and it's just like not working. They tried to start the matchup again, and then it paused again. And so he's just he's freaked out. Gamer B beside him is freaked out, and it's just like, what are the rules here? What do we
Yeah.
do? The rules are you just give up that round. And so then Gamer B would have that round. And that's how that was supposed to go. They ended up having to replace the Razer stick with a Mad Cat stick, which
Oh,
is
wow.
hilarious. This is like the greatest.
amazing.
And what they have to get past. It's like that is always going to isolate you as not a because we just went over this whole thing, with ball inflation. It's like you have to hand that off to someone else. You have to, it's like as a player, it's like you can't bring your own stuff or bring that extra, business to the thing and then complain about having it cause problems, because it's like if you just showed up and you both used the same exact equipment, and I'm not pretending not to be sensitive to how important that is to these professional players, but that's the difference. That's a huge difference. That you could see if you watch this video, he's like, they're just standing there. I had to click ahead, and I was just like, nothing's happening. I went by for a full minute, and then some lady comes by and literally looks to I just see the back of her head, but it's just kind of like, what's going on? And it's like 5 people should have swarmed that television immediately and just been like, done. We're ready. We know that's going to happen. It's not what do we do?
So as
And
we
it had
recap
that vibe
events,
of
it was 5 minutes. The delay was totally 5 minutes because they had to give Gamer B the round, and so that took extra time. So it was 5 minutes until they started playing the game again.
Because it took longer because of what Gamer B did, which I love.
What?
That he just brought down Momochi's his life bar and then just let it sit. He didn't knock him out or anything.
Right,
He
because
just,
technically he would have been building super meter.
but he just I thought that was so respectful and such good sportsmanship.
It was.
I loved that.
To me, too good of sportsmanship because he lost the next round and lost the tournament and got second place. They restarted and it was a really short match, lost, game over. Momochi wins despite having his faulty Razer stick delaying the game for 5 minutes. I'm upset.
Okay.
I think he should have lost the entire match for bringing in a Razer stick that malfunctions. I think you delay the game 5 minutes, you're out.
I don't know about that.
I don't think. I don't think that's on him. It's up to Evo to determine those kinds of things. If you're gonna let people bring in, sponsored equipment or equipment that they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
then that. They've got to be prepared for when that happens, but that's gonna come with the territory. Otherwise, you need to have an official piece of hardware that everybody's
Which
using.
seems so ignorant, but it's like that. This can't go on forever. Sponsored equipment, that seems just so bad. It's like,
Oh no, it's perfect. I'm all on board for it.
imagine if you had the Super Bowl and both teams used different footballs. It's like, oh, we brought our footballs.
Yeah,
What? How would?
Brandon, that's what Inflategate's about.
That's what I'm saying, and the
To me-
NFL did not stand for that. They were like, no, there has to be one per. The players coming in don't think about balls. You think about your sport. You don't think about the equipment.
To me, the perfect analog here is snowboarding. People have sponsorships. If I'm sponsored by Burton, I've got a Burton board and I got it for free, and I ride this Burton board. And like, if I'm in the Olympics and I don't go fast enough because my board isn't waxed right or like the wood is too heavy or whatever, I just lose. You know, like I made the choice to accept a sponsorship.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
I made the choice to accept that Razer sponsorship.
Yeah.
And I have no integrity and my product is terrible that I chose to let sponsor me.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
to
think that's
me-
about integrity.
To me, that's like you look at, like, in the Olympics, you look at athletes that are from third world countries and they don't have the same advantages or resources that first world country athletes have. And to me, that comes down to like an elitism and a model of like an economic model that's failing, because you can't put two athletes next to each other and expect them to compete the same when one has had
And
a
it's like
greater
training
advantage.
too, like in that situation.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
It's largely-
rocky in the Russian winter.
It's basically the reason why the women's world won the World Cup so handedly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they have more money and resources than most of the other.
I think there are fundamental differences in that, like, when you're performing in the X Games, it's just you. It is you by yourself doing this amazing artistic thing with your equipment or whatever. So if like your machine, if like it breaks or cracks or something, or it's not, I don't like the size, or like it's a new thing, or like my boot's not fitting right.
Right,
like,
but
I could still make that work.
To
like,
me,
I
the
could
difference
still,
is, like-
whereas like if my controller doesn't work, it's
Right,
over. There's
but
no,
I mean,
there's
like,
no. I'm not going
my-
to save this in some miraculous way.
The difference is, to me, like, because I've snowboarded for like 20 years or whatever, I would never go out in a serious situation with untested gear that I didn't trust.
But you can still test that forever, and it would
Yeah.
still break.
Yeah.
And it would be on you to fix it.
Right. So he should have lost.
that's why Evo was like, I mean, what do you expect us to do?
I mean, I think you're completely right that there should be contingency hardware right there. That like,
Yeah,
why
they
is
should have
this
swapped
a-
it instantly.
which was, I mean,
Yeah.
it was the Mad Cat stick. You know, I mean, they did it. They
but
said,
that
okay.
he didn't have a
should have done it
separate, or that there
immediately,
wasn't
yeah.
a rep like
From Razer
like,
there.
like Velcro attached to him,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
basically to just in case anything goes wrong.
I mean-
especially at the last.
The grand finals.
Like,
Yeah. I'm sure it's something they have plans for now going forward. Like, this was just the thing that had to happen for them to start, like, oh, okay, well, now we have a plan for if something bad like that happens.
Should it have been Razer? Like, should Razer have been like,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
a second stick?
yeah.
Yes,
in
there
case
should have been a
that one-
Razer rep
Yeah.
with it out of the plastic, plug ready in the other hand,
Because to me,
just
this
standing there.
reflects real poorly on Razer.
I do want to talk about that real quick before we
Yeah.
move on. Is like,
They
what does
should just
Razer
go
do
out of
now?
business.
What do they do now?
Well, they had their reactionary tweet, which was like actually pretty graceful. And
Mm-hmm.
they said, "Thanks, Mad Cats, for helping us out."
Yeah.
And
Do you
I
think
was-
that's it? Do you think
it
they're
wasn't
good?
snarky? It wasn't insincere.
Right. Do you think that's enough, though? Do you think they don't have to do anything after that?
No, they
They
totally
should.
need.
They
to.
have brought dishonor upon their family. They should
Because
commit
anything they
seppuku.
actually can do based on their whether they're actually going to spend money on doing research on what happened and whether they can improve their product, it's all going to come down to them saying it's better now. And how the hell do we know whether they're just saying that or whether they actually did the work?
I think honestly, I think they need that. I think they need like a huge apology and like we're making good sticks now because that's what Mad Cats did. You know what I mean? They said like, okay, we're actually making a high quality stick here. Like we know what we've been doing and here this is. I think Razer needs to do the same.
I think they're
Yeah.
going to try to court a ton of these competitive
Right.
players to try to get them desperately try to get as many as possible to use their products and hopefully win, so then they can be like, look, they
Yeah.
actually do work.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I was going to say. They've got to do this again, except
Yeah.
knock it out of the park.
The one last thing I can just a really quick statement to end on is like I have to admit, even though things went wrong and like they had to sit there for 5 minutes and like that totally affects morale and like totally affects their momentum and like where their head's going to be in 5 minutes, that's sports. Like that's the best. Like when it's oh no, this went wrong and you still win. Like I don't know. I think I'm not saying that's the way sports should be rule wise, but like that excitement and the opportunity to overcome adversity and maximize such a small amount of time. To be like, doesn't matter what you could do to me. I could throw a pie in my face and I would still win this
Yeah.
match.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like,
yeah,
that's sports.
Yeah, timeouts all the time.
Yeah.
You know what, Brandon? I'll buy it. I actually really like that. Like, yeah, I am upset the momentum was lost, but you're right. Part of sports is just owning your mind.
Like if I threw
Yeah.
if you threw a Hail Mary and caught it, or if like I threw it to a guy at the middle point in a court and he threw a 3 and made it, that wasn't luck. Like that guy, that's an amazing player. He was
Yeah.
just able to just completely focus and
All right,
Did
Evo.
they redo the whole? They
Slight
redid
luck.
the whole match, right?
No. They
Momochi
gave
took it after the next.
Yeah, they gave the pause match. They gave that to Gamer B, but then like the next match, there was the
Oh.
last one that would needed to be played.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I take that back. I think they handled that the right way. But yeah,
I also know nothing about nothing because I'm not in esports.
none of us do.
I want to be the Rudy of esports. I just want one match.
They
and
like
I
put
don't
you
do
in at the very
shit.
end, but yeah.
Then everybody cheers.
You land one jab and it's just like,
Yeah.
So let's talk about, we have a funny update. So do you remember before E3, Slightly Mad Studios was talking about
Oh, yeah.
the Wii U version of Project Cars. and they were saying, hey, you know what? We're going to wait for E3 because we think Nintendo might announce the NX, in which case we'll just say no Wii U version was going to be on the NX. Obviously, E3 came and went. The NX was not announced at E3, and so the Wii U version now has been officially canceled. Before it was, hey, if NX isn't announced, we'll make the Wii U version work somehow. Now it's just, no, it's not happening. That's the update. How do we feel about that? There it is.
I have to wonder. I mean, I don't imagine it being a large percentage, but I have to wonder how it affects people because it is a crowd-funded game. You know,
Right.
like how what of their audience bought into that because they thought they wanted a Wii U version, and here's a game that we know is not going to come directly from Nintendo. And yeah, I'd like to have this on my Wii U.
I think it was even in that initial montage when they were showing off Wii U games. I think Project Cars was in that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this was like a promised version of this game that is just simply not going to work.
Yeah, very very early on they had announced the Wii U version.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's a little weird though because in that time frame they essentially like shifted generations, and Wii U's stuck in that weird middle zone where okay, this game's not on Xbox 360 or PS3 anymore as it was
Right.
originally planned, and the Wii U kind of feels more in line with that than it does the Xbox One or PS4.
Man, I'm worried. Do you think the NX will run Project Cars? We have Elise
There's
shaking her
not
head.
any-
We will run Project Card? What do you
Yeah,
mean? Like,
do you their Wii U does
will it
not
come
run.
out for Project Cards, or will it be powerful enough to?
Right, Wii U is not powerful enough for Project Cars. Will NX be?
I don't think it's not powerful enough. It's
It
they just
isn't.
don't want to. Yeah, I mean, you can release any game for any system. You just have to work on it harder. It's like you can't. You
Well,
just have
no,
to
they
make
would-
another
they would
version.
have to put
that's
down
what
a
that's
very-
what porting is.
Yeah, I mean they would have to port it down and
It's
make a
just
dumbed
either
down
they
version.
didn't like the final product, or they didn't want to put in the time. They're just like, meh, it's not. Which the question I have is, was this a completely internal decision just based on what happened at E3, or was there actually a meeting? Like, did they go to E3? Like, would that have been a thing where like they actually like, let's take advantage of all these industry people being in the same city for 3-4 days and actually meet with Nintendo and have a meeting, and then like this came out of that? Or was this just like them watching their direct like everyone else did? Did they not have to leave their building to make this decision? Basically, is what I'm curious about.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
They do in their press release talk about the future a lot. Like it does sound like they want to make it work on NX if possible.
I just never ever say I'm gonna do this if this happens at E3.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that.
That was a bad call.
What a terrible idea.
That's what we've learned. I want to cover this next story really quickly. Rise of the Tomb Raider has announced when its multi-platform releases will happen.
Cool.
PC early 2016, PS4 fall of 2016.
Whoa, that's a gap.
It's a year. Yeah, they got a year gap.
Whoa. Not to mention when is it coming out on Xbox?
This fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it coming to Windows PC and Steam?
Windows 10 and
Windows 10
Steam.
and Steam.
Yeah. Windows 7, forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, you can do it on Steam.
Yeah, I mean that does make sense because that's your DLC run, right?
Yeah.
I mean that then when it comes out on PS4, then it's got the Game of the Year edition.
Oh,
it's
to
got
me
like all the DLC included and all that stuff.
To me, those specific dates are clearly what Microsoft agreed upon. You know what I mean? I think that was the terms. Like, for a year, you don't put that on PS4.
But that PC bundle, I don't think is going to come with anything else. Like that's
sure.
just going to be like, no, you're playing on this one now. That's why you're excited.
Yeah.
It's like a year later, like, oh yeah, was that last? Like that's gonna be one of the games when we think about 2015 and 2016. Was that 2016 or was that? Oh yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
Oh, why would I play it now? Oh, because I don't own an Xbox One, or yeah, I'll check it out now because it's got that cool
Yeah, I feel like
Shadow
this is,
Demon DLC or whatever they do.
Yeah, I feel this is almost entirely due to fan pressure. When they said it was exclusive to Xbox, people didn't believe them. And it seems rightfully so, that they pressured them, and then, like really early on they had said, oh yeah, it's a timed exclusive, and now they're basically just letting people know when it's coming out.
Seems like a bad idea before launch.
It does. I mean, I feel like this kind of happened with Resident Evil 4 on GameCube, and being a GameCube fan, I was really upset.
What happened there?
That before the GameCube version came out, they announced that it would be coming to PS2.
Oh man, what a
And it
burn!
was,
That
it
is
was
a burn.
exclusive. It was like a really big deal that it was exclusive to GameCube for a
Yeah.
long time, and then it was like, all these people are like, well, I'll just wait for the PS2 version. I won't buy a GameCube. And it's sort of like, kind of stilted some of that momentum for Nintendo.
Absolutely.
Do you think? Sorry.
And with this, as I was mentioning this morning, just around the cubicles, is this is actually being published by Microsoft. They're taking all responsibility for this release. They had it in their E3 booths, not at Square Enix's E3 booth, and they're doing all the marketing and PR and stuff for it. So it's interesting to see how this is all going to work, because obviously when it comes to PS4, then that's where Square Enix is going to pick things up.
Right. And help me with the Funhouse rumor that was, I think that was a month ago at least, that they said, hey, this is going to come exactly, they played it out exactly.
Yeah.
PS4 will come a year later, but will be $40, I think was part of that.
Yeah, I think that's how they said that they would placate fans.
Yeah.
Oh, it's late, but it's cheaper.
I think next year I totally buy into that. I think next year it will be $40. That's what they'll do with that.
We were talking about this earlier, but you guys don't think that because Microsoft's publishing it, they'll make anything from PS4's sales of this game?
No,
Do you think PS4 will completely handle that?
Yeah.
Or Sony will completely handle that?
Square
PS4.
Enix will handle that. Is how
You
I
think
feel.
so?
Yeah.
Do you think that's enforcement from Sony to be like, okay, if you can have your Xbox thing, but if you want this game on PS4, you have to announce that it's coming to PS4 before this game comes
maybe.
out?
So, I mean, it's
That, like, when this was
I don't
announced
think
was
they have
because
that
of
much power in it.
So it's something like Ultra Street Fighter 4 on PlayStation 4 is published by Sony. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can publish a game without having any ownership over it, and I think that's just the same case with this one. The deal they signed is clearly like Microsoft has no ownership of Rise of the Tomb Raider, but it is taking all publishing responsibilities.
I agree with Brandon. Like I've been waiting for this because I was wondering, because Sony wants you to know when the PS4 version comes out so that you don't go out and buy it for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
So that you wait.
Yeah.
And that's what just happened. Like now the rest of us know, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't seem to me like it benefits Square Enix, and Square Enix is where this press announcement came from. So that's just so weird to me. That is weird.
It's basically just like, I mean, Microsoft paid for the advanced exclusive, and they're gonna, that's just what it is. But Square Enix wants everyone to know when they can play this game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think this is a move that benefits Sony more than anyone else.
But
Yeah.
I feel because they went to Xbox, because they went to Microsoft to fund the game, I just think of the position that they're in, where they're just like, we really want to get this made, we can't do it on our own. That maybe they're like, okay, we have to appease the PC audience, we have to appease Steam, we have to appease the PS4. So if you want us to release it before, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was them just playing nice with everybody.
It is. It's definitely in the interest of the third party. And Microsoft is probably like, okay, fine. Well, we got a year. Let's move on to, well, you're the one who's
Who's on
this
deck to
conversation.
review Tomb Raider? Just out of curiosity. Because there's some games with that PS4 controller. I don't know if I want to play Tomb Raider on Xbox.
Wait, why not?
Didn't review.
That's worth talking about. Really? You
Those
think
shoulder buttons. I hate the shoulder buttons on the Xbox controller.
We'll buy you a Pro. We'll get you that $150 controller.
It's the same.
I don't think it's
the
gonna
same.
be
No,
that
not the
anyways.
triggers.
Xbox controllers
those
The bumpers.
LB and RB.
Yeah. They changed them. They changed them.
If it's like a grenade or just like a simple like boop, I just used that item and booped again. But if the Evil Within, I played Evil Within for half an hour on Xbox One. I was like, nope. And I got it for PS4 or like borrowed a work copy. And just those, the R1 and L1. It's like, oh, so much better.
They actually,
because I'm sneaking the whole game, so I gotta hold that down the whole time. Dark Souls 3, there's no way I'm playing that on Xbox. Like,
Yeah, the
all
Souls
the
games,
shoulder button action.
Justin and Jelmo, he was playing Dark Souls on Xbox controller, and he was like, I hate this game. This is the worst game. And like for the longest time, I'm like, this doesn't make sense because you should love this game. And then I was like, try it on the PlayStation, and then he fell in love with it.
But like Halo 5 Guardians on the Xbox controller, perfect.
Yeah,
because 343 was smart not to lean on the LB and RB unless it's just something I need to use really quick.
They changed the LB and RBs on all of the controllers recently with that new Xbox that came out earlier this year.
It's
Yeah.
a bad controller. It's fine.
No, it's improved.
It's specific.
Yeah,
it's
it's
specific
improved.
for certain
Working on
things.
it.
It's a good
Working
shooter
progress.
controller.
For shooters.
It's a good action adventure controller.
So we have a very long question, and this I picked because it had so many responses. Like this started a whole discussion in the chat or the comment section last week. So I wanted to see if we can discuss this ourselves. This is from our mutual friend.
Good to know.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about the place gaming takes up in my life. We all know it's a time-consuming hobby, and as I'm moving into adulthood, I'm wondering if there aren't better ways to spend my time. Don't get me wrong, I love games. I've loved games for a very long time, from long single-player experiences to couch multiplayer fun. It's just that lately I've felt I've been playing so much, it's just so constant that I don't enjoy it as much anymore. Like I need to breathe a little. I've taken a break from gaming, but as I'm coming back to this activity, I'm trying to immerse myself again in these huge single-player stories and adventures. I was playing Arkham Knight, for example, and while graphics are better than ever, when I look at the screen, I have a hard time getting sucked into the world. It's happening for most games I've tried. It's like I have a problem believing or immersing myself into these characters and stories, and when I look at the screen, it's hard to see beyond what looks like some animated pixels and 3D models. So I wanted to see if the panel has any comment on this issue, for you're the one who started this conversation segment, like talk about immersion, I guess, and how far that bar is set. Has anyone felt the same? That question covers a lot of things, and I think that's why it was responded to so much.
I have a very direct, like, I mean, it seems to me that this person is talking about two different things.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Am I wasting my life?
Mhm.
And also, like, are games, like the immersion thing, like, I've been thinking a lot about the first question.
Sure.
Because, like, yeah, there are much, like, better things you could be, more productive things maybe. For me personally, like, every time I'm playing a game, I'm like, I should be writing right now, or, you know, things like that. Or
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
I think, like, oh, if
Let's go for ice cream. Let's go for ice
right,
cream.
if I'd never
That's what
gotten
you're
into
saying.
gaming,
Writing.
I would have, like, so much more, I would have so much more stuff done right now. Like, it's a waste of time. And then, like, the graphics thing, like, yeah, like, people say, like, yeah, Dark Knight looks great, and I'm like, compared to real life, all video games look terrible.
Arkham Knight.
Compared to, yeah, whatever. And compared to movies, you know, like, games don't look good. They look the best they've ever looked, but they still don't look that good unless you make an artistic, you know, style choice.
Well, that's why, like,
which I always prefer.
I always prefer that.
Yeah, because it always looks the way you want it to
Yeah.
look.
But these are all, if we really want to get psychological about it, these are all absolutes. Like, good means nothing. Waste of time means nothing. It's like, doesn't matter, you know, it's like,
Immersion.
you're wasting time by knitting. You're knitting. It's like, if knitting is extremely enriching to you and you literally, like, it just sinks right into your brain with what you need to do.
If it
But,
makes
like,
you feel happy.
I mean, one thing you can, if this is like an issue that you're facing, I mean, if you're like me, you're not just playing one game, you're playing 2 or 3 or 4 games, like, at once. Like, I'm always playing Hearthstone, you know, so, like, that's always something that's accessible to me. And of all the games that I stopped and didn't play, beat Arkham Knight, haven't beaten Witcher yet, you know, like, hopefully I'll get back to that and actually, like, finish the single player campaign, but, like, I might not. And there was definitely that moment, Fallout Shelter, classic example. There was that moment where I stared at the game, was like, I'm done. And put it down. I was like, okay, it was fun. You know, I think I can predict the rest of the experience.
Yeah.
And I don't really see myself enjoying that. So, like, oh, cool, I'll move on.
I would definitely recommend that, actually. Don't
And that's
force
kind of like a
yourself
little.
into game.
That's kind of like a little microcosm of what this guy's talking about. The greater
Yeah.
experience of, like, oh man, like, how, like, I don't think there's any gameplay session I've ever had that I didn't wish I was doing creative writing, like, specifically creative writing. Which is interesting that you brought that up, Ian. So it's like,
Yeah.
But then again, me actually doing that writing, like, there's no absolute truth to that being better. You know, it's just like me actually having an analysis of what I've been doing. Like, there's so many moments in my life where I've really just kind of looked at the big picture of things and be like, why not just entertain yourself the whole time? And what's the point? You know, we're all going to be in the ground anyway, so, like, why not? You know, it's not going to mean anything to us then, so why not just enjoy every moment if we can?
For me personally, the creative writing v video games thing. At the end of a day in which I've created something, written something, worked on something creative, I feel better about myself. Whereas at the end of a day where I spent 9 hours playing a game that isn't a Souls game, I feel like I've thrown away hours of my life and achieved nothing. Like,
Wait, what happens when you play?
enjoyment,
What happens when you put hours into a Souls game? What do you feel like?
They're so good. I enjoy it entirely.
See, I think that's worth talking about. Though.
Right. I mean, there is a difference. To me, like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, if you have a game that you think is so artistically beautiful, then, like, I'm playing Bloodborne and I feel like I'm gaining things
You're
in my life.
accomplishing.
Yeah.
I'm accomplishing things because I'm you know, enjoying this art. I'm learning. I'm improving my gaming skills. You know, that kind of thing. Like, so that there is that. But
Yeah.
like most other games, like 14, I'm really enjoying 14, but it's nothing but a time sink.
Right. We
That's
know that
all
very
it
well.
is.
Actually, going kind of off of that a little bit, yeah, I mean, that's why I think one of the reasons that I gravitate more towards single player games than multiplayer is, you know, because yeah, I feel like I'm getting through this game. I'm, you know, whether it's getting to a story or something, or I'm accomplishing something.
You're progressing.
Yeah. Whereas in a multiplayer game, if I'm playing with friends, like if we're playing screen shoot or something, that's like a totally different story. But if I'm just like playing like a Call of Duty or something online, even if I I'm completely having fun and sucked into it for 6 hours. At the end, I'm like, well, what happened? I just, and so that's why I never really like get into very many multiplayer games for more than a week.
When you're dead, your gamer tag score will mean nothing. But that poem you wrote might get some
To
traction.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
To me.
it's relative. So
Yeah.
you really you can't make a decision based on what
it's
other
like,
people's interests.
What's the meaning of life? Is it just to have a good time or to produce something worthwhile?
Have a good time
Like-
all the time.
The other side of that coin. Oh, do you have something?
I need
You're
Elise's
waiting?
impression. I need Elise on this.
Well, I mean, I try to just be well-rounded in that I try to like have many interests and try to have multiple activities that I do on a regular basis. I like being outside. I like doing active things.
Benson.
Benson is
Yeah.
a big factor in my life.
Yeah.
I like to read. I read a lot. I like to, go to the beach. And I get a lot of flack sometimes at the GT office because
Because the beach is lame.
Oh, beach
Yeah.
is lame. Beach
Yeah,
is
yeah.
lame. But like I try to like just be well rounded.
Missed that.
I'm a lot like Bloodworth, where I do prefer like single player story oriented games because I feel a greater sense of accomplishment. I like games that are puzzle driven because I feel like I'm like challenging myself more than if I'm just hacking and slashing. Like I like games that I can play with James because then I feel like we're doing something together. Like and like I know you and Amanda are the same way. Like you guys are, and it feels like more than just I'm like cocooning myself and playing something alone. Even like this week, like he's been playing Destiny and I've been sitting playing Captain Toad on the Wii U gamepad.
I think the only thing I would say as a rule that you might want to consider as opposed to playing video games that I think would probably make you happier, even if I'd never met you before in my entire life, is something you've never done before. Something that you're like, oh, I probably wouldn't have done that. I haven't been to that, town that's only a couple hours away from where I live, or I've never surfed, or I've never, gone running or hiking, or like really like read a giant comic book anthology cover to cover, or watch that show, or just something else that you can do to break yourself out of it. And then when you're done experiencing that, see what happens when you return to games.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also like your priorities in life too, because there was like a big like a few years where like we were in a long distance relationship, and like I didn't have money to spend on video games. Like it was like buy plane tickets to visit this person or spend it, and so there were lots of games that like I didn't get a chance to play, and people would give me shit for it. But I'm like, well, my priorities were like in a different spot, and I guess it's where because you might a couple of years from now feel differently. But you might be in a better place just in your life in general.
Sort of along those lines, something I was thinking about too is, I think about this from time to time, but like, gaming specifically is for most people a hobby, right? Whereas like that's I think my big thing why I feel guilty about playing a lot of games is that for me it's a hobby that I've always enjoyed my entire life, but it's not what I want to do with my life. Whereas I feel pretty confident in talking about this for like Ben and maybe even like Huber, like they have their dream job right now. Like they're doing what they want to be doing. Like video games are their life to a certain extent. And like so for them I could see like playing a video game like that is what they want to be doing. Whereas like I'd rather be making a movie or something. And I think it's a very individual thing where like it's a hobby that necessarily takes a lot of time, so it's a very strange thing.
Yeah, I definitely have that weird little voice in the back of my head that says, even if I'm not working on something, I need to be playing games
How do you
just
feel
to be able
about
to
it?
talk about them.
Oh, I feel like never force yourself to play a game. There's so many games that are great that I've ditched because I'm not feeling, and I'm like I don't regret that at all. I think if you're not into Batman Arkham Knight right now, don't play it. Just stop it, because like you'll find something you will enjoy.
That was me for The Witcher. Like,
Yeah.
I loved the dialogue and the stuff, but I was just like,
Yeah.
there's just not a reason to do this for me.
Yeah.
I thought of a really interesting question of like the science of wasting time when I was sitting out on a bungalow in Bora Bora looking out at the Pacific Ocean, and Amanda's sitting next to me on a Kindle, and I'm sitting next to her playing Fantasy Life on a 3DS. And I was thinking, like, for most people, they would look at Amanda and be like, oh, it's a magazine cover, and look at me and be like, why are you wasting your time? And I'm like, we're both doing the same thing. Like,
time.
we both
Yeah,
have
you're
electronic
both
devices.
wasting your time.
We're both looking down instead of looking up at this amazing view, but like I can smell it, I can feel the breeze, I have the sun on me. This is clearly way different than me,
Yeah.
like, stealing a little bit of this game on my lunch break in my office. So it's all relative.
It is
no
weird,
one can
too.
tell anyone else that they're wasting their time.
The fact that
because-
she's on a Kindle reading does catch a little more of my ire than if she would have been holding a regular book.
It's not fair.
I'm a hypocrite.
That ain't right. Thank you for starting that conversation, our mutual friend. But let's talk about bets. Here's our bet this week. So next week, King's Quest Chapter 1 is finally being released on Tuesday. How many letters will there be in the name of the first item we can put in our inventory? So this doesn't mean we're starting with this item. This is the first thing we find that we can put in our inventory. How many letters will there be?
Do we know that there's an inventory?
We do.
Okay.
And so our first person to bet will be you, Brandon Jones.
8. I think I thought of like 8 different ways, or like definitely like a handful of different ways that like I could follow. I was like, oh, what should I do? Like, should I just pick like a popular number and whatever? And one was like, what will it probably be? Like, it probably won't be a weapon because like you'll have weapons in your inventory already. Yeah. But I ended up going on one of my favorite actual King's Quest items, which was a mushroom that turned you really small and you had to like get through a cave, and I just thought that was really cool. This was one of the first times I played a game where like the character totally changed visual appearance, and I was like, oh, that's neat that you can do that. And mushrooms 8 letters. So
mine's 5 for stone. I'm betting hard on stone that you can pick up a stone and put that in your inventory.
I was thinking stick. Very
Nice.
similar.
Yeah. At least, what's your bet?
I too wagered the 8.
And what was your reasoning?
I searched like King's Quest items, and I kept seeing mushroom.
Okay.
Whoa.
And Bloodworth, what is your bet?
I'm pretty shut out here, but 6.
Oh no.
Okay.
I should have went with 5 because I
Underlined.
started thinking about like everything I think of ended up being 5. I was like, oh gosh, like sword is 5.
If it's the epic
broom is
sword
5.
of awesomeness, me and the Super Seed win.
Yeah, is
Candle
that
is
how you
6.
decide? You decide ties? Super
Well,
Seat wins?
not
or-
right now because Jones has a star,
Ooh, yes.
which gives him
Oh
the
yeah.
next tie.
I have a what?
You have a
no.
star. From
We'll
last
explain
week.
that here. Let me lock these in.
Wait, should I change this? It's locked
Wait,
in.
I have a star or I am a star?
Both.
Have a star.
Both, brah, both. So you have 3 points and a star. The star allows you to break any tiebreaker you ever want.
Why is it a star?
It's
But
actually
then it goes away.
So I have to,
Is there a sticker somewhere?
Ian. I have to change it to a lightning bolt because
Why?
I went through every single wingding and then every single weberding and could not find a regular star. So
What?
Brandon, you have 3 points and a lightning bolt right now.
Okay.
It was an asterisk. I used
I'll
an
call it a
asterisk.
zap.
I don't
find that
like
hard to believe.
I don't like
I'm
that.
quite familiar with
like
the
it either.
Wingding
Yeah.
catalog, and there's a star in there.
There isn't.
Gotta be.
There's no normal
There
star.
has to be at least 5 stars. Like one that's just the outline, one that's filled in,
Yeah,
like
I'm
one
gonna
that's like
find it.
You-
stripes.
Please find me a star because until then it's going to be 3 and a
star
lightning
within a
bolt.
star.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. I like that Brandon can
So
use
I
a
get
lightning bolt
what?
to break
I
a
get
tiebreaker.
I get to break a tie. I get to just pick someone.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
No.
I mean, preferably your own tiebreaker and say
Huh.
I win this tiebreaker.
Oh. But no one else has a star.
One
How did I
time
get a
use.
star?
Oh, okay. So you won the bet for technically. You technically won the bet for Rocket League. We did it again last week,
Oh.
where how long from initiation of a search to like actually going in a game.
Oh yeah, okay.
You won that by a fraction of a second.
Okay.
And so you got instead of getting an actual point because it was a week later, you got the lightning bolt.
Just because we did it later?
Yeah.
Because in the episode where they actually tried it right before the episode, the servers were down, so we ruled that it was
Oh.
infinite seconds. So Bossman won
With the
But
highest
then
bet.
The next time that
Wait,
they were
so did you still get that
actually-
point?
I got the point. Yeah.
But
Well,
then
that
the
I
next
don't
time,
feel good about at all.
the next time they
no,
actually did it,
no.
you
Well, you
won.
gotta. We don't.
Judge Ian
You
ruled.
get a point and I get a star.
It had
Yeah.
already happened.
It's a lightning bolt. It's a
why
lightning
couldn't
bolt.
revoke his
Why on
point.
earth? Yeah, if I get out of jail free card of Monopoly, why am I just going to give that to Huber? Like,
Right.
I'm not deciding anyone
No
else's
one assumed
tiebreaker.
you would. You
I
were
think-
the only one that
Unless
did.
I just
Yeah,
really
yeah.
hate Kyle.
Well, yeah, you could do it against me, or you could do it against Blood because he's points leader. There's lots of ways you could use your lightning bolt.
I am straight up desperate for points.
Yeah.
In this weird little game we built around ourselves.
Speaking
You
of
want
which,
to talk about meaning in life?
Let's
This
talk-
has meaning, Ian.
let's talk about last week's bet, which was it's about Hot to Full Boyfriend, which came out on PS4 and Vita this week. On the PlayStation Store, which version of the game will have the most ratings and by how many? Here's how the bets went down. Blood bet PS4 by 30. Brandon, for you,
Brad didn't.
Brad was in your seat. He bet PS4 by 100. I bet PS4 by 300, and Matt Blair was in the Super Seat last week. He bet 356 by PS4 would win by 356. Here's how it shook down. The Vita, right now, has 31 ratings for Hot to Full Boyfriend. The PlayStation 4 has 76 ratings. The PlayStation 4 is won by 45. This is another win for Daniel Bloodworth.
You guys way overestimated how many people are rating that game.
I did. I absolutely did. I thought it'd be way more popular than it was. I should have known better. It's Hot to Full Boyfriend. What am I thinking? So, Blood, you win not only a point, you also get the right to close out the show in any manner you choose.
I thought you were going to give him a star too.
No. You don't get a star that easy. And you also get to promote any video you want. But let me go through the points real quick. Super Seat has 9 points. Bloodworth now has 12. Jones has 3 and a lightning bolt, and I have 6 points.
Wait, okay, I'm never giving that away because when this year is over and we close out this season of GT Time, and I am way behind everybody else.
Yeah.
At least I'll have a star.
A lightning bolt.
And none of you will have lightning bolts.
Yeah.
He already took the star away.
I'm the better who lived.
Yeah, I think there's something cooler about lightning bolt. Somebody's phone is
Somebody
definitely...
move your phone.
Okay, so Blood,
Elise.
please close out the show as you so choose.
Yeah, well, you know whoever gets to win a bet and promote a video is Ian Hink.
Whoa.
He did a Talos Principle expansion video this week.
That sounds boring. What makes it good?
What makes it good is
Yeah.
Ian Hink bouncing around on fans, can't find the star.
Tell him what it's called,
Well, he
Ian.
found it, but he can't get to it.
What?
Tell him what it's called.
It's called How to Be a Star in the Road to Gehenna. Elise Willems, production.
Executive producer.
He also wouldn't let me see the thing until it was done, which was kind of funny.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that, actually.
It's like watching a video from a star about stars. Aw.
That's cool. How kind of you, Blood.
Yeah, so watch that.
Thanks, Blood.
And definitely give us your comments and your feedback about the show this week. My Twitter handle is dbloodworth2. Brandon.
GameTrailers VO.
At Kyle Bossman.
At Elise Willems.
At Ian Hink.
Yeah. So, leave us your comments and questions and corrections, and we'll see you before the next blood moon rises.
I love...